For more than a decade, FTI has strived to become the leader in the aftermarket performance transmission and converter industry. We've joined forces with McLeod Driveline Components under the leadership of Top Fuel Funny Car pilot Paul Lee, and now have a larger distribution network, more resources, and more power. Come see us in the pits and ask how you can join the FTI family. It's not cheating, it is the competitive edge.
This is WFO Radio.
Hey, everybody, WFO. How's everybody doing out there? Midweek, hump day. But people who are watching this show like on the weekend, they don't care about that because it's already the weekend, maybe even Memorial Day. Hopefully everybody has a great Memorial Day weekend. You can go out and grill and have fun with your family and spend time with the family, guys. It matters so much. We've got a great show for you here today. We encourage you to share the show. I always say share the show. Share the show. Share the show so people can see Erica Enders. Such a big win out there at the final Spring Nationals at Houston Raceway Park. And the emotions were very, very thick out there. And Erica finds her way to the final round against Camry Caruso, who was number one qualifier. They ran side by side in qualifying many, many times. And we're going to find out Erica's story. She's been excited to talk about Houston for a while since the event, but Pro Stock has been off. And so we wanted to get everybody back into Pro Stock with this interview. So if you're a fan of Erica, you definitely want to share the show, especially from YouTube. Also on the show, Jim Epler, the first funny car over 300 miles per hour, did it at Heartland Motorsports Park. It was called Heartland Park Topeka back then. 300.4 miles per hour in 1993. Jim Epler going to be on the show. We're going to talk to Epler about the run, about the fire, but really he's here to talk about Phillips Connect. And we're going to learn a little bit about what his involvement was in launching Phillips Connect. And he's going to be out on the tour with us, like going over the road. He's going to have a trailer. They're going to show off the sensors, what it's capable of. It's going to be very exciting. And so stick around for that. Jim Epler and Erica Enders back to back. Maybe there'll be some crosstalk, and there's a little history between them. Erica was going to run Jim's funny car until she decided, you know what? I like Pro Stock. And we are so thankful for that. At least I am. I could not envision Erica driving anything but a Pro Stocker. Let me tell you about the people who make it possible for me to go WFO, though. Talking about Total Seal Piston Rings. Got a new episode of Hidden Horsepower getting ready to roll out. TotalSeal.com. That is the website. You can order a single ring. You can order rings. You can look up rings. You can do research. TotalSeal.com and download that Hidden Horsepower podcast. Of course, Phillips Connect. We are going to talk to these guys. The website is Phillips-Connect. Internet working a little slow today, guys. Just wondering, like, where's the logos, guys? Internet is a little funky today. Funky like a monkey. But we're going to get through it. Phillips-Connect.com, talking about over-the-road clients and, God, big companies and big giant corporations, but you don't have to be a big company and a big corporation to take advantage of getting connected, monitoring things like tire pressure and light out detection and fire and temperature in the trailer and making sure your loads are safe and the people on the road with you are safe as well. Go to Phillips-Connect to find out more. And of course, we'll be telling you more when Jim comes on, which is going to be great. VP Racing Fuels. Yesterday, we had Freddie Terza on, who has been involved in the development of VP Race Fuels and lubricants and fuel additives for many years. And it was so exciting to talk to Freddie about his career and his life, but also bring it together with what's going on with the folks at VP Lubricants, who have done a great job kind of launching onto the scene with their own lubricant that is being run by the folks at Titan Racing Engines. And of course, FTI Performance Transmissions and Torque Converters, FTI.com. Whether it's .90 racing, big money bracket racing, or a whole host of other series, including Pro Mod, Top Sportsman, Top Dragster, people on the street are using FTIperformance.com. A little bit later on in the show, I'll tell you about my buddy Marvin Rodak, Rodak'sCoffeeandGrills.com. 817-924-6821. And that is, you can bet, the coffee I'm rocking here today. Frank Hawley's Drag Racing School, who has been a big part of most of the champion race car drivers that we talk to here on WFO Radio. Frank Hawley has got an experience where you can drive a dragster, and samtech.edu, the School of Automotive Machinists and Technology. Appreciate those guys as well. All right, let's bring her on. Four-time champ, won Houston. Got to be, I don't know, man. No, we haven't seen Pro Stock in forever. Erica Enders. Erica, welcome back.
Hey, Joe. How are you?
I'm great. I'm super excited to talk to you about this signature win in Houston. It has been a while.
Welcome to Wynnywood Wi-Fi. What did you say?
I said it has been a while since we have talked Pro Stock.
Yes, for sure. We've been, by the time we arrive back to Epping, it'll be 5 full weeks that we had off. So just kind of a crazy deal, but we're really excited to get back on track, and hopefully carry the momentum that we had such great success with in Vegas and Houston back to back.
Exactly. All right. So, but let's talk about Houston. I've got a column in the National Dragster right now. I didn't realize how much it would affect me being around a bunch of racers. Oh no, we lost her just like that. James Warren, should be an awesome show as always. Blake saying hi, Erica. Everybody saying hi, Erica. And now is a perfect time for me to tell you about the mobile application where you could be watching on YouTube right now. That's right. It's free for iPhone, for Android. Get out there and download it. And you can watch the show live, like the YouTube shows, video archive, audio archive. It is great. Now, here's what's happening. Erica is probably going out to her car. We've been down this road before, folks. And she thinks it's her internet. And I'm not quite sure that it is. I think it could be just the internet, but it is what it is. And this is a live show. So we're going to just keep on going. Randy says prayers for Texas. Yeah, I don't even know what to say, Randy. And I hesitate to say it because people get very emotional, as they should, and angry and upset. I don't know. I'm just personally devastated. We had one here in South Florida, Texas, schools, kids. It just, none of it makes sense. And so WFO is like an escape from all of that. But we're all feeling it. What can you do? Blake, Derek, everybody checking in. Erica is now back. So you don't have to worry about stalling for me, Erica. What, you needed a jacket? No, what's going on, Erica?
Sorry, I had to get Chase. He's my geek squad. He got the Wi-Fi back working, so I apologize.
Way to go, Chase. Listen, nobody cares about any of that problems. We deal with problems, and we keep moving forward. That's what we do. And you did a great job. Speaking of Chase, there he is, right? One of our great photos. How big a win was this for you? Houston, final race.
I hate the word epic, but it was just that. Like, it was unbelievable. The week leading up, I was down there doing a ton of media. The Houston media is always so wonderful to me, and I've made friends with them over the last 30 years, and we had a ton of really great interviews on every major affiliate. Got to throw out the first pitch at the Houston Astros game. Got to go hang out with the girls from Houston Dash, which is the professional soccer team in my city. So just leading up to it was unreal. And then actually being able to seal the deal on Sunday was unbelievable.
Unbelievable. Yeah, they worked you hard. Like, this was a big event. They worked you hard. It was sold out. Everybody who had ever been to the track was there. And I saw you, going and coming and everything. So let's start from the beginning, build up to the big first all-female final round. But pitch thrown out the first pitch. Okay, some people said you've got you're recovering from arm surgery. Just to even take that on at all was gutsy.
Well, initially I told him I wouldn't be able to probably throw it because it was my right arm and I had just had elbow surgery before the season started. But then the more I talked to my sister about it, the more I was just like, we cannot pass up this opportunity. So I'll stand in front of the mound and just do the best that we can. But it was awesome to walk out on the field, and I had a ton of friends from high school and college that were there. My dad came. My sister was obviously there with me. So it was a really cool experience. And then to have them play stuff about drag racing on that giant TV in the Astros stadium as I walked out to the pitcher's mound was just really cool. It showcases our sport to a whole new audience.
It really does. And we need to do as much of that as is possible. And the way it worked out that you did all that media, the hometown girl, and you won. That works out.
It definitely works out. Off the trailer, we made way less than a stellar run, but it was still good enough to position us in the number 2 spot leading into Sunday. And my Melanie Foreman Chevy Camaro has just been running on mean lately, and it's my race to lose, in my opinion. So being again the human variable, I'm the biggest variable. So I just was super thankful to be able to execute on Sunday and do exactly what we needed to get done to hold that last Houston Wally.
So you and Camry side by side, it wasn't the first time in qualifying. There have been quads and 4 wide where 2 female racers, lady racers, I like to call them, ran side by side. But this is just generating a lot of interest in the category. And unfortunately, you guys had a top end, like when to turn off kind of incident that was well publicized. But I kind of sensed that moment, I don't know, might have been an eye opener or brought you guys a little closer together. Was I wrong about that? Or just like you guys talked it out, and at first everybody's hot whenever at the top end of the racetrack, you got adrenaline going on. And then when you guys realized what just happened, you guys got together and you talked, and I don't know, it seemed to be a little bit of a calming moment down there. How would you describe it? Because you ran side by side every time down the racetrack in qualifying.
After the first run we didn't, but the next few that we did definitely have to run next to each other, and we were low ET of every single round. I left first every single time, so we did our job. What happened at the top end, I feel like now we get to dig it back up after it died a slow sorry death. But
really, it was. See, I didn't think it was a big deal. Was it in your world?
Well, yeah, because you get to hear all this shit that people talk, and it pisses me off. But we were going down there. She was late on her chute, so she was way out in front of me. I tucked in behind her and to make the corner, and she just hammered the freaking brakes and stopped. And I went right to avoid from hitting her. And with the crosswinds that were happening there in Baytown, it just took my parachutes across her deck lid and bent up her wicker bill and her rear spoiler and stuff. So Jerry Haas, who built her car, was able to borrow some parts off Shane Tucker's car, and they were able to fix it. But the initial conversation, I just asked her why she stopped on an active racetrack, and her words were, "I don't know." And I could see that she was upset. And then I looked and saw how bad the back of her car was, so I went back over and talked to her and just ironed it out. And I told them, "Don't let you cry, because they will tear you apart like they did me when I was a young kid." And not to let this overshadow what a historic moment it was for her, gaining her first number 1 qualifier. And I want to preface all of this with, people think that it's Erica against Camry. Well, it's freaking not. Okay, I've been doing this for 18 years. I could care less. But before she started racing pro stock, she worked for me and Richard and everybody here at Elite. She lived in my house for 6 months. We sold her 4 engines that they put Titan Racing stickers on the valve covers. Like, we have a big part in helping them get there. And her dad, Mark, is very quick to give credit. And I want people to know the background, but what kind of people would we be to not help somebody that has the same dream that I had 20 years ago? So I'm done talking about it to people. I don't want them to pit us against each other. Amanda Busick, said something to me at the top end, and I kind of snapped at her, like, is this drag racing or is this Us Weekly? What are we reporting on? So I want Camry to do well. What kind of older person would I be if I didn't want to see the next generation succeed that has the same dream that I do? So that's kind of where I want to leave it. Like, we had no issues before. She lived with me for 6 months. She worked on my race car, and we helped her get her start. So I'm proud of that. Well,
and you should be. And you have a unique experience that nobody has ever had in pro stock. And now she's about to go on the journey. So it only makes sense that there's going to be stuff that that you can, like the thing about, crying in public on TV, which I don't know if that's still true, but I think it probably is. To share that, right? To share that was trying to be helpful.
Yeah, I mean, people tore me apart. They still do, and it definitely makes you obtain some thick skin. And it's not something that I think she naturally has, even being from New York. And it certainly wasn't something that I naturally had. So I feel like the emotion of it, like seeing like what it means, Ron Capps winning his first national event as a team owner, seeing the raw emotion from him, like that makes it real. That makes it awesome because your dreams are coming to fruition, and people associate emotion with negativity, and it's not. So being a female out there with all men, of course, you're not supposed to cry, right? They just give you crap. But that was just my advice to her was, get back to your trailer and gather it up, cry there, but do not let these people see you sweat, because I get emails upon emails for it, 10 years ago, and I've done my best to not ever cry in public again, but it's just part of it, right?
It is. And I'm okay with the public crying, tears of joy. Yes. Tears of rage. Okay. Tears of pain. You should really hold those in just to prove you can take the pain. But I don't know. I think things are changing, but I like seeing it. But as luck would have it, right? She's number one. You're number two. You got to go against Christian Quadra, who is a great lever first round. You beat him. Set up a race against Hartford. You beat him. Semifinal, Kid Chaos, who's been really good. You beat him. And she's on the other side of the ladder. And now you're in the final round of the final race at your home track. And this is the last one against the other lady racer in pro stock, right? So the people who wanted to build this up, and me as a fan of the sport thought it was cool. I admit, that's cool. Here we go. This is a big final round for so many reasons.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely was, coming into the event, and Camry will tell you the same thing. Like, we don't want to be viewed as women, and this is cool. Now the first all-female final is over with, and we can quit talking about it, and we can both just get back to what we want to do, and that's win races. So super significant race. Having to run my teammate Christian Quadra first round, I know exactly what he's capable of. One of their cars uses our power, the other two Frank Iaconio builds, and they're super competitive, within 10 horsepower of the best stuff on the planet that we build. So it's it's super tight out there, and I know Christian is an excellent leader. He was 00 every single round in Las Vegas, and he's just an absolute win waiting to happen. I cannot speak more highly of that entire family. Fernando Jr., Fernando Sr., Christian, their brother David, who races Top Sportsman. He helped me dial my car when I was running in Great Bend a couple weekends ago. I raced a super stock Copo that belongs to Mark Melling, and just put the first runs on the car, and David helped me with the run predictor and stuff, because we don't have to do that in pro stock, because he who gets to the finish line first wins. But just a tremendous family. So I knew that was a tough round. I knew Matt was going to be tough. He is notorious for screwing around on the starting line. So when everything went smoothly there, obviously we left first and we outran them by a significant amount, able to turn the win light on there. Same thing with Kyle, and then getting to the final round, my crew chiefs, Mark Ingersoll and Tim Freeman, were definitely working on that Melling performance car all day long, just trying to get it better. And they felt really, really confident about the final round. They said we were going to run a few hundredths faster than we did all day, and that's exactly what we did. So, we do what we have to do to turn win lights on. Sometimes you don't have to be 00, and sometimes you do. And that was a round that I didn't have to, and we were able to lock it down. And what was so stinking cool about Houston was, in front of us, in front of the pros, I watched 6 friends from Houston win that race. Michael Holcomb in Super Comp, Jerry Emmons and Speedy Emmons in stock and super stock. the Arnold family, who I grew up junior drag racing with their kids. He won top sportsman. I mean, I got chill bumps. You go down the list. There's 7 Houstonians that won the last Houston race. So you tell me God doesn't have a really cool sense of humor. That was, it was such a cool moment to see Michael Holcomb, who my sister and I, again, junior drag race with, coming around the corner to go to the winner's circle with his medallion and the Wally in his car. And it was just so exciting. And I'm like, all right, I can't screw this up. We gotta secure the last win here. And we were able to share the winner's circle together and take pictures. It was just it was an unbelievable day. I couldn't have written it any better.
Intense though. Very intense. Like everything you just said, I'm so like all of these things we've talked about are emotional baggage. Some tough, some good, some like, boy, it would be great if all these guys won and I could win too, but you still got to do it and you still got to deal with it. And to me, that had to be one of the biggest races that you've won, considering the track is going away.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I grew up there before I started junior drag racing at 8 years old. I was out there in diapers watching my dad race and, being his crew chief with, a red shop rag in my back pocket. And he let me use the shoe polish to write his number on the car. But there are so many tremendous memories that took place at Houston Raceway Park, and the family that owned it. Also, their kids junior drag race with us, Seth and Derek Angel, and now Seth runs the track. So, super, super sad to see it go, but just what an epic day. And all these pictures that you're putting up, that was on the scales Sunday morning before we even started the day. And Courtney's like, team red to the front right now. And we all threw up number ones. And she's like, hopefully that's how we finish. And it was. So just kind of wrote our own success story. And I can't give my guys enough credit. We talk about the engine shop, and that picture's freaking cool with me and Courtney or me and Brittany and all those people. But the engine shop obviously is responsible for our horsepower. That's Michael Holcomb that won in Super Comp. But the car shop, right? Chase Freeman, Blake Scott, Casey Freeman, Kelly Murphy, Big Al, Mark Ingersoll, all these guys that spend so much time over there working on our race cars and are responsible for the race car part, putting the engines in our car, getting the trucks and trailers loaded into the racetrack safely. Like, I sometimes fail to mention that in my winners interviews, but those guys get a lot of credit. But they all work their tails off for one common goal, and that's to stick one of these elite motorsports cars in the winner's circle. And I'm just really thankful it was our milling performance car in Houston.
Now, I was there in the winner's circle, and I saw a certain Top Fuel team owner poke his head into your Pro Stocker and wish you congratulations, which I thought that was pretty cool. People come into the sport and maybe stay in their own lane, and he's not doing that, right? He's taking in all of drag racing, talking about Tony Stewart.
Yeah, Smoke it. I've been a fan of his for a really long time, and got to know him personally when Richie Stevens and I drove for Mopar back in 2006 and 2007. So known Tony for a really long time. Super excited to have him as a part of NHRA Drag Racing, and he just dove in head first. And they've had some recent success with Matt Hagan's car, and we all know the success with Leah is coming soon. But he's like the coolest, most real dude ever, and he somehow always shows up in the winner's circle when we do well. And even before they started their own team, when he was out and about there with Leah last year, he was always around to congratulate us when we do well, and pump us up when we didn't. So thankful that him and Leah are so heavily involved.
Yeah, I know. It was cool to see. It's like, all right, this guy's not just into Nitro, man. This guy's into the whole thing. I thought it was cool. All right, let's talk about Epping. It's been so long since we've seen you guys. It's not the same without Pro Stock. I'm excited to be heading back up to the New England area. What about you? So you guys are back now for a while.
Yes, we are. We'll be in Epping, and then week off, Bristol, Norwalk, back to back, and then we head out west. So there's a lot of races coming up on our schedule with just a couple of weeks off in between. So we're excited to be back on tour. That was obviously a super long break for us. We did some division racing to fill the gaps, and we did some testing with Bo and TJ's car. I think we're heading out on Thursday to go burn in tires and get some stuff ready. As we get closer to the countdown, we just try to prepare the best that we can and then execute when we get to the racetrack. But heading back up east to Epping. That is pro stock country. You know, Englishtown's gone. That used to be a super pro stock fan heavy area. So they just absolutely love the factory hot rods up there in the Northeast. So we're excited to go back. The fans are awesome. I love racing at that like nostalgia feeling track that Epping is. They don't have this huge tower and wraparound grandstands. It's like old school drag racing that we all grew up watching and learned to love our sport by. So love racing there, have had some success. I think we won there in 2017. We've run it up a couple of times. And again, looking forward to carrying that momentum from Vegas and Houston. Even though there was a little bit of a gap in there, we're looking forward to carrying that on to Epping. Absolutely.
Well, we just need you down the stretch. All right. So a few weeks ago, you told us the story that you were going to go Nitro Funny Car racing. And when you've won your first race, the word pro stock came out of your mouth, and the rest is history. You're a 4-time world champion. You told us that was Jim Epler. Coincidentally, he's on next, on after you, to talk about his big return. Can I bring him on and have you guys on at the same time? Does that work?
Sure.
Jim, hopefully you're ready. You're going to bring Mr. Epler on, the first funny car racer over 300 miles an hour. Oh, Jim, get in the middle. Never mind. I got you. There you go. You almost had Erica Enders drive your funny car back in the day. Things went in a different direction, but what's it like to see, the way it has all turned out? Oh, no, you got to unmute yourself, Jim. You're not hearing audio. Oh, no. Oh, no. Your mom is out there. Mama Enders out there. Here, I'm going to disconnect you, Jim. Come back in, reset up your audio, and we'll be good to go. There you go. Oh, no, Erica. Weren't you excited to hear what he had to say?
Yes, I am excited to hear what he has to say, but I'm also glad that I'm not the only one that suffers technical difficulties every time I come on.
To everyone out there, if you expect perfection from the internet, don't. It's a miracle that we can see each other and talk to each other, period.
For sure. So just a little backstory while Jim's getting set up. Like my dad talked to him. I was just a kid back then. And he said, I talked to my dad about it a couple weeks ago. And he said, they talked a few times and I wanted to be a professional race car driver. And Jim told my dad, if I could drive an alcohol funny car, chances are I could drive a nitro funny car. So I went to Frank Hawley's alcohol funny car school, got my license, and just a couple weeks later, we won the Super Gas National event in Houston. And in my interview, I mentioned that I have always loved pro stock and would like to drive pro stock, having just gotten my alcohol funny car license, talking about going nitro funny car racing. And that's what came out of my mouth. And the way the good Lord had the plan written, Bob Fry and Victor Cagnazzi and Steve Johns all got together, and Vic called me, and I was hired a few short weeks later. So it was kind of a crazy whirlwind type of deal. But, I've also learned never to say never. So we'll see what happens in the future. But I definitely would like to drive a nitro car one day. But I have no plans, no solid aspirations for that. I absolutely love what I do. I love that pro stock's a driver's class, leaving with a clutch, having to hit your shifts, blah, blah, blah. So I'm just obsessed with pro stock.
I am too. All right, let's see. We're going to give Jim another test run. Jim, are you there? Oh, my gosh. For whatever reason, Jim, we have no microphone for you. We see you so well, though. You want to do his voice, Erica? No. I think this is just part of the deal. We're going to be okay. I love pro stock also. John Gadosh is going to have his car out there. Chris Sweeney, who's the guy who helped me with my GTO, he's driving. Like, people want to, now that we know it's going to survive, people want to be involved. And it's more affordable than it's ever been. It's also more competitive than it's ever been.
100%. I was actually talking to Lee Zane about it this weekend. He's made, a pro stock car, and that was always wanted to do back in the day. So I kind of got to hear his story this weekend when I was in Dallas, and just how much pro stock cost back then and how much it has changed now. Like, you used to not be able to rent an engine for the year for less than $750,000, and that was to be a bottom of the field qualifier. To lease an engine from someone like Grumpy Jenkins or Victor Cagnazzi or I forget the power players back then, Mike Edwards. It was $1.2 million a year. So that's before you even have your race car, your trailer, your trannies, your rear ends, all the parts and pieces to go. And then you add that engine leasing cost into it. So now, we have this ride and drive program that Freeman calls it, and it's bring your helmet, show up and race, and it's less than $1 million. So it's the most affordable that it's ever been. Yes, it's still expensive. Our car costs a ton of money to run, but each one thereafter that, the price gets less and less because we're already on the road. So it's definitely an obtainable goal, and we always say, come on in, the water's fine. So, a lot of comp racers used to make the transition to pro stock. And now that, because Richard Freeman and Greg and Jason Lyon at KB, like they all put their heads together and they lowered the cost of these leasing programs, and more people are able to get involved now. And I think that's why you see such the influx of young kids coming back. So it's not like this old guys class anymore. And it's pretty cool to see.
All right, I'm not going to make the old guy joke with the transition. All right, let's try again. Third time's the charm. Mr. 300, Jim.
You hear me now?
Victory.
Hey. I got this really fancy new camera in this tech trailer now that kind of follows you around and does everything. And I've not had a problem with it before. But hey, I want to go back to your original question. So biggest fan of Erica for so many years, and talking with her dad and her, briefly about a funny car career. And, I was in no position at that time, to give her what she really needed, so I couldn't be more thrilled, with obviously if I was, and she went into funny car, her ability to win, at the toughest class, that's just, you just can't find drivers like that. So I just cannot be more thrilled, Erica, with the direction that you took. And it's an awesome class, and it's hard. It's hard. I loved alcohol funny car racing when I was, a sportsman racing. So I know it doesn't really compare to what you do, but it's a driver's class, no question. I'm sure you'd have done well in funny car, but I'm just a huge fan of yours. So I'm really thrilled for your success.
How cool is that to hear, Erica?
That's pretty awesome. Thank you, Jim.
Yeah, I wanted to say something to you. We were with Justin, when we won the race there in the Winter Nationals together. So hopefully we'll get into the winter circle again and can say hello. But I didn't even know if you'd remember me. It's been so long ago.
Do you remember him, Erica?
Of course I remember you, crazy. I had your T-shirts when I was a kid. I was a fan.
That's an honor, but thrilled with your success, and you make pro stock exciting.
Is it weird being back, Jim? Like being back in this world of drag racing that you were in 1993, you ran 300, all this story we're talking about. Before we let Erica go, just like, you're back on the tour, right? You got the Phillips Connect trailer. You're going to be out there at every race, from what I understand. Jim is back, Erica. Jim, is it weird being back?
Well, I'm in a different role now as a sponsor, not a driver. So I love the business side. I've always been a fan of, NHRA and the platform that they give us. So it's weird, but it's a lot the same. Honestly, I think there's more tools and more opportunity and more TV. And I look at all the good things, about the sport. I was in NASCAR there for a bit, and it just wasn't the same fit for what I like to do in racing and create relationships and love it, and I just couldn't be more thrilled to be part of Justin's team and Davis Motorsports and Mike Green, who, I think Joe, you and I spoke. I knew Mike Green when I boat raced in the mid '80s, so it's pretty cool to be back in the sport and in some ways give back a little bit, as a sponsor and bring in new partners in the sport. That's really our goal, and to create, to build the sport that I loved, 20 years
Awesome.
ago, last I drove.
All right, so I know that lunch is big at Elite Motorsports, Jim. It's like a big deal, and I'm watching the clock. Erica, we're going to let you run. I just wanted to get you and Jim on the air at the same time to talk about that just, the way the ship's
Space,
passing in the
yeah.
night kind of situation. But you both have done such great things. You're both still in NHRA drag racing and, maybe even better things down the road. So we're going to let you go eat. Please say hi to everybody at Elite. We'll see you this weekend. Super excited. And thanks for fighting the internet today on the show, Erica. Thank you, Erica.
All right, Joe. Thanks for having me on. Good to see you, Jim.
You too. Take care.
There she goes, Erica Enders. Just so amazing, the roads, the things that maybe might have happened but didn't quite happen that get us to where we are going eventually. But you guys both are right where you want to be, I would imagine. And hearing you talk about Justin, he's a perfect example, right? Kid in his mid-20s, knows exactly what he wants to do, what he wants to be, and where he's going. And I love the fact that you guys re-upped for the rest of the year. So he is solidified in that endeavor.
Well, he is, and he's bought in, to the long term, what we want to do on sponsorship and how we want to run things. And the pandemic, should teach everybody lessons. It's really tough when you're relying so much on the sport to support you with TV and the competition side of things. So I want to make sure that we're successful, with or without, the TV coverage and some of the other things. So all the B2B business that we're involved in and the new partnerships, we're bringing on a big new global company, Sensata, at this next race in Epping. They're based here in the Boston area. So, bringing them into the sport and a percentage of their sales, go to help, support the race team long term. So when you talk about this tech trailer and what we do, our CEO, Rob Phillips, is bought into this. He's a competitor. He loves winning and he loves that side of it. But at the end of the day, it's a business. So my job is to go out there and showcase our technology. Justin's doing an outstanding job, and Amber White, her from NHRA. And so we have a good feel for getting the brand out there. But now I'm taking our technology, directly to our customers, and I'm following the tour, and we're bringing transportation customers to every race and introducing them to the sport. And Justin, as an ambassador, he'll go, he'll make customer visits with us, and everybody loves him, when they see him. So, he's vested in what we do, and he's in it for the long haul, and we're going to build this race team. It's going to be a growing year this year, and we're going to continue to grow. And, we talked to Antron, he's got aspirations of 2-car teams and all this stuff. And, who knows where it'll go from here?
Who knows where it'll go from here? Exactly. But you are drag racers, and that's what's important. You understand the sport, the history of the sport. We just lost Dave McClelland. And tomorrow on the show, we're going to be talking about it with a couple of his colleagues from Diamond P Sports are going to be joining us. Tom Gee and George Castello are going to come on. They used to do the NHRA Today show and just tell stories about his professionalism and drive and passion. I was just looking at some of the first 300-mile-per-hour funny car stuff, 1993, Heartland Motorsports Park, Heartland Park, Topeka back then. Steve Evans is doing the interview, talking to you about a headwind. You hung out with Big Mac and those guys a lot. You know the sport, and that's my point. You said vested. You can't not be vested in this sport, given your place in its history, and that makes you the perfect person to help shepherd Justin with the team and the sponsor.
I want to say Dave McCullen, he's the one that nicknamed me Mr. 300 back in the day, and I thought it was pretty cool. But I will say, after in business world and to have that nickname, has lasted for 30 years. And Dave gave that. So you never know, at the time, we went 300. It was a big milestone, and I knew it would help. But, when you're finished racing, how do you know, what's going to live long-term and what won't, so it's things like that. And, in drag racing, we were all about the first of the fours back then, and so I was disappointed at the time I didn't become first of the fours. And I do want to, I am making a run at NHRA, and I'm going to put it out there that I wanted to put a club together for the first to 300 to the 660. And I think it would be amazing because Top Fuel is really close to going 300 miles an hour to the 8th mile. And I think Phillips, with my background, would love to sponsor something like that. So I don't know, Joe, what do you think? What do the viewers think of a 300 mile an hour club to the 660?
Well, I think that Brad from NHRA should be watching right now, and your phone is going to be buzzing is what's going to happen. I love the idea because we're right on the doorstep of that plateau. Now, I don't want anyone to ever freak out and think, oh my gosh, NHRA is going to go 8th mile racing.
Right.
But first to the 8th mile at 300 miles per hour is going to be a major milestone. That's going to be a big deal when it happens, and there absolutely should be some sort of reason to go for it, right?
Yeah.
Like you were going for it for a reason. You wanted to be the first. Let's get people to go for it. I love where your head's at, and whatever. If there's a club with jackets with memorial, some sort of pomp and circumstance, people love that stuff. They remember that stuff. So of course, absolutely, I think. But let's ask the audience. Yay or nay, guys? What do you think? 300 mile per hour club to the 8th mile, 660 feet. Should we do it? Type in the comment section, yes or no. And I have a feeling I know the answer, Jim.
Yeah, I don't know why not, but it will live. They didn't have a 300 mile an hour club for the funny cars, so we were one of the first member of the Top Fuel Club, at the time. So that was a little disappointing, but yeah, man, dude, let's kick it off. I don't know. A funny car could go 300. Obviously, they're a ways away, but Top Fuel is not. And shoot, Maple Grove with the weather, who knows when the time will be. And crew chiefs, will they push for it? Right? It's
history and the milestones. Let's face it, we less milestones now because the cars are so amazingly quick and fast. Now I want to ask you about the sensors and all, but look, now that we've done this, and I appreciate you for going your own road on the show. I love that, right? When a guest does something, look at this, everyone 100%. Yes. You have to do it. Have the club do anything to bring attention to the sport. Absolutely. Everybody's saying yes. I totally agree. But returning to the sport, the level of extremity it was back in 1993, you had Mike Klober as your crew chief when you went the 300, which I think is so cool because up until the other day, Mike was involved in the sport, and I fully predict he will be again. The guy is too knowledgeable and too sharp and gives too good a starting line interview to not be involved, and so I hope Mike is back. There's your car. The next round, of course, was unfortunate because this was the car. But when you come back to the track, though, and you see the cars the way they are now, the way Mike and Tommy D and Justin's driving it, the feeling of intensity, it's gone up. Like the shock of the car, it's gone up a lot. But what is your perception?
Well, that's interesting because, we used to be able to run 100% nitro, but with the way that the engines are now and making 11,000 horsepower and what I was probably more impressed with is ability and everything that they monitor, and their ability to repeat within, thousandths and hundredths of a second, run after run. And the amount of data, it takes a lot of data to do that. It also puts, really good teams, to put ththese cars together the same way every time. So it is intense. And now that I'm kind of getting, Tommy D and Mike kind of giving me the rundown on everything they need, I'd love to get involved in helping on the sensor side. More data is really, the key. These cars are so competitive. And it wasn't really that way, when I was racing, even in the early 2000s, there wouldn't be that many close races. But now 1,000 feet, the races are shorter. There's no room for error. Starting line has become critical. You have to be a lever. You don't have that extra 320 feet, to run somebody down. You can't run big speed. You got to look at every increment of the racetrack, to be able to, to win these races. So I'm just fascinated. And this is what's really cool, though, is to bring new customers and to the races and watch it on TV and have no idea, how difficult it is to do what these guys do. And then to take them all apart, put them back together, and then repeat. I mean, that's just amazing.
And so I was reading an article the other day about Formula One and how they've grown. And obviously, if we could emulate their growth or their, level at all, we should take it very seriously. And one of the things that they talk about is that the data, right? Like every team has so much data. And so a lot of the technology companies are involved in Formula One because they can showcase their ability to gather data, to move data, and that translates to business, and that's why they sponsor. And it got me thinking about Phillips Connect, and this is the graphic I put up to show the transportation industry out there, some of the sensors that are available. And I think that your company is a technology company and a data company, and I love hearing you say more sensors, because that's what will draw some of these data processing companies, data storage companies, cloud computing companies. I know why we don't do full-on electronic stuff. With crew chief still gotta work the flows like it's an instrument. We want to keep that human element, but tracking data, storing data, moving data, and using that data so the human element can process it and adjust the clutch. I think that would be good for sponsorship to bring some of those big companies into drag racing too. We've got data to move around. We've got an audience who have businesses. Let's get some of those technology companies, in addition to yours, involved. And it sounds like what you're talking about would do it.
Well, it would. Just like I was telling you, Sensata, they build sensors for the automotive market globally right now. So just about every car has Sensata sensors on them. So they are building specialized sensors for the transportation company just for Phillips Connect. And it's really been amazing to all the technology we're putting on trailers. It's not just where's my trailer anymore. It's all about, what's the tire pressure monitoring, what's the inflation doing, and we've got autonomous that's very close, and they're driving these trailers down the road without drivers in them. And so we have to monitor the trailer, and we have to have cameras around the trailer, and we need to know the health of the trailer at all times. So, we're bringing that technology to transportation. We've got some of the largest transportation companies using, our products, and we're continuing to grow. But the racing side of it, believe it or not, has really been a really good fit, because a couple of things. I design all the products pretty much at Phillips Connect, and I build them, and I design them to be very OE friendly, because you can build something overly complicated and you can never deploy it on an asset. So, and I get that, from my racing experience. It's all about, how quickly you can, put it on, take it apart, and service it as well. So we're bringing that to companies like Sensata, who says, okay, I build these sensors, but how do I deploy these sensors? And what can I do with the data? But I'm going to bring a lot of the engineers out to Epping and show them what we do, and let them talk to Mike and Tommy and say, what can I do to help you? What kind of sensors can I bring, to help, make your life better? Like you say, data is everything, and if you can have more data, we could potentially have an edge. It's tough. Everybody wants an edge, but like you say, it's the crew chiefs and the drivers, a lot's in their hands, but the crew chiefs, they want more data. So
yeah, well, if you don't have data, you've got an opinion, right?
There's a lot of seat of the pants back when we were driving. It's like I have no idea why it ran that good. It's when Mike went 300. It was really, we were struggling trying to make the car run, to half track, and Mike was a big fuel volume guy and worked with Waterman and put a lot more pump on the car than most people, and kind of, he was all about trying to make it consistent and run it out the back door instead of trying to make it run hard to half track. And it wasn't really about running 300. It's about quit smoking the tires, so much. Right. But it was, it's just come a long ways, from there, to where you're at today. There's so much more technology in these cars. It's really kind of mind blowing to me, how much technology there is.
Well, rightfully so. I see Slugger out there with the Toyota guys, and I'm very impressed. I would love to see the secret stuff they've got going on inside their tech trailer. It has to be that way. That's what many of our fans, maybe not all of our fans, but many fans in motorsport are interested because of technology. That's what auto has always been. It's been where the technology is, and watching that advance is a big deal. Now, let me ask you, though, I want to make sure we get everybody understanding. I love the fact that you developed the sensors and many of the products for Phillips Connect. I was kind of like, how are you exactly related? And you said, I want to know, we got so many sportsman racers. We got people in the trailer sales biz. Like, our community is a hub for people who are using this kind of stuff. I know you got big customers too, with giant fleets. You mentioned the autonomous. We could go hours for that, because I do wonder how close it is actually. But for our sportsman racers, though, what would work for them in addition to where is my trailer? Because that's number one, like, where is my trailer? But everybody's got the story of going down the road and all of a sudden you've blown a tire and you've destroyed the side of your trailer and maybe your cargo and all of that. From what I understand, you guys can monitor many different things about your trailer or fleet of trailers to prevent those things or catch them in advance.
Well, just little history. I actually helped Tommy Johnson build his device he used for security. So that was connected to one of my earlier telematics devices, and kind of helped him get started on that. But now, we put Antron Brown is we got different technology on his trailers, and he's got on his kids' cars now, and so we'll get involved. We have a whole reseller channel that kind of specializes in that, and I'd like to put a package together for our NHRA teams that they could use this technology. I run a motor coach down the road with this tech trailer, and I can't imagine driving down the road without knowing what my tire pressures are doing. And if I have a wheel end event and I'm about to catch on fire, I need that alert to happen, before it becomes a problem. So we really kind of focus on 53-foot dry vans right now, but we will have a package, for sportsman racers and guys like, what I'm doing on this trailer, to help prevent that. You see it in the news all the time. There's a lot you don't see about issues with tires and not paying attention and having a blowout going down the road. And there's a lot of other things that we monitor. I've got cameras that are in this trailer right now that, we can take a picture on demand of what's going on with your cargo and all kinds of cool technology.
And so tell us about the trailer. This thing is going to the rest of the races, as are you, as I understand. You're allowed to skip one in there at some point. But is this open to the public? Is it only open to the racers? Are you bringing people in there to show what's possible? Is this what's going on with this new trailer that you're hauling around?
Yeah, it's initially it's going to the races, but it's also going to customers that are within 100 miles of the races. So our goal is potentially before a race, we would go into a customer location like we did here in Pennsylvania, and we introduce our technology, but then we'll invite them to the race, and it's about building relationships, and racing is really good at that. Once you get them to the race and you're part of the hospitality and they get to meet, Justin, they're wanting to do business with you, really increases. And that's NHRA. There's nothing better than that. As far as at the races, I haven't really figured out how this might fit, to be able to showcase it. We've been talking to NHRA and Amber's been working with them on, should we put it in the midway? Should we put it in this sportsman pit? We bring guests. I'd like to bring a guest and be able to show it to them without having to trek out to the motorhome parking lot where we're at now, right? So I haven't worked all that out yet, but our goal is to do a lot of this before the races. And again, it's about introducing them to our technology, bringing them to the races, building relationships, and then owning them. We've got, when I was racing back in the day, if a competitor comes in to try and sell a competing product and they know if they went that direction, they're not part of your race program anymore, that factors in, their decision to stay with you or not to stay with you. So I'm a big fan of motorsports and relationships, and we're just getting started right now. And, I love that Justin is so involved, personally with these guys and has a connection with them, because that really helps a lot.
Yeah, well, the kid is amazing, and I'm not just saying that because he's like a young, fresh face, and we need that. Like, we desperately need the Justin Ashleys and the Josh Harts and the Brittany Forces to succeed and capture their own fan base the way you have. And I think about Rug Doctor, right? Like, I don't know how you brought them on, if you had a personal relationship or what, but till right now, drag racing people, if they need to clean their carpet, they're getting the Rug Doctor because of you.
Yeah.
Decades ago, a century ago, those connections are made, and drag racing fans, they honor those connections. Like, nah, there's choices. I'm not going with the Stanley Steamer, guys. I'm doing the Rug Doctor because of Jim Epler in 1993. And I don't know if it happens elsewhere, but it definitely happens in drag racing.
Oh, it is. They're very loyal. They want to support those that support the sport. And I've been a fan of that. Phillips, it's funny because Phillips, they're on 100% of the tractors in North America and about 70% of the trailers. That's Phillips Industries, Air and Electrical. Our side of it, Phillips Connect, we have an uphill climb. We're 3 years old, and I want our technology to be on, that kind of path, so we're on 70% of the trailers. And so Phillips brand is very strong. Phillips Connect brand is growing, and we plan to use, race marketing and motorsports, to help build that brand. So it's with a lot of work. And I will say, I talk about the slow road that you used to do it. You go to trade shows, you introduce the product at the trade shows, but with this pandemic, it's caused us to rethink that. We'd spent a lot of money. First of all, they wouldn't come at all, because they're afraid of catching something, or they would send non-decision makers. And now I am bringing this. And the other thing, I design the products, and where I get my information from is technicians, not sometimes C-level guys, because the technicians are the ones that work on the trailers that say, I really need this sensor to help me. And then I'll bring that back, to our engineering team. And that's how I created it now. But, I told Justin when we started this, this 12 hours a day in the office every day, that's not me. I need to get out in the field. And so this has allowed me to do it. So I'm just really fortunate that, the two paths have crossed, and I get to enjoy drag racing and technology all at the same time.
No, I love it. And we need it. We have to be a technology sport. We have to be on the cutting edge. We can't be, and I love the nostalgia stuff and all of that, but the world of technology is advancing always. And the second, in my opinion, you stop trying to keep up with modern technology is the second you become old. Right? Like, you can be an 80-year-old person, and if you're on your iPhone and you're sending out a tweet and then you're current. You're just 80. The second you've got the flip phone and you surrender to the idea that you can learn something new, then you're old. And I know a lot of people who they give up. Oh, I'm old. I can't do that. Bad. I think it's bad. I think we got to keep up. And that whole theory applies to us as a sport. We have to find ways to use modern technology, and the way you guys are doing it, getting to and from the track, business to business with our sponsors and the people that are passionate about drag racing, keeping their businesses safe so they can go out and make money to fund the sport as it is, I think is a great way. We just need Justin to get out there and keep in the mix. What do you see happening for the remainder of the season?
I think, we'll continue to get stronger. I'm really impressed with Dustin Davis and how he runs the team. And I'm really, I haven't been to a race, since Phoenix, so it's going to be neat to get back out there and see what's going on, and see. I'm not there to offer really any advice. I love to listen to what's going on and offer anything I can, but it is so tough. My job is to support and help fund the team, and I think we'll be good. Justin's a great driver. Got a great group of guys that run the team, So you got to hit your stride at the right time, right? Which is this countdown thing. I'm personally a fan of it. Just back when I was racing, geez, John Force had the championship wrapped up by Indy half the time, And,
you are or you are not? You
no,
are?
Okay.
Yeah, me too.
So I think it's good. It was good, for NASCAR. I think it's good for us. And, look, we might be in a position where we're not a fan of it when I have to live it later on this year. But right now, I think it's exciting. I mean, I'm into anything that creates excitement. You were talking too about technology. This is the funny thing about speed, and I mention this only because people relate to speed so much. And then when we changed to 1,000 foot, now we're talking about 360s and 370s instead of 460s. But everybody can relate to speed, and I completely understand not trying to go 340 miles an hour at every track. The cars are heavy, they're hard to stop, and that's too fast. So, but I do think there'd be a lot of excitement around pushing this 300 mile an hour 8th mile barrier thing.
I love it. People are very into it. I would like to see a 340 once somewhere, right? Like somewhere the one. Oops! Oh, 340. We saw it. Like we all want to see it. But I agree with you. 330 as the benchmark of a really good run. 330. Wow, that's a big deal. Yeah. With when guys go 335, 336, that's unbelievable. With the quickest run ever being a 340 and change that happened in the best conditions ever, I would be okay with seeing that on the board. People love speed. It's all about speed. Chicks dig the lawn ball.
They do. Despite us purists, who's all about ET, but you got to remember the fans. The fans relate to speed.
They do. That's you can't. Wait a second. I go 80 and I'm speeding, and these guys are going 3.5 times that. That's unbelievable.
Well,
stuff.
You talk to somebody 0 to 60 times or 0 to 100 in under 1 second. That nobody can fathom that.
They can't fathom it. They cannot fathom it. How close are we to autonomous trucks? Not that I don't know if I want them, because I think about every over-the-road trucker that I know through radio and podcasting. A lot of our listeners are over-the-road truckers, and it's a great job for somebody who just wants a great job, right? You don't have to go get degrees and stuff. You can go and be trained. And so I wonder if that's going to be a good thing or a bad thing. But what I wonder about has no factor in whether or not it's coming. And I think it's probably coming. How far away is this, Jim?
Well, I hate to break it to you, but it's here. They are driving completely autonomous right now in certain lanes, and it's mostly testing. But that's no driver. They've got pilot cars back and in front and back, but so this is why for us we're not involved in that. What we are involved in is making sure that the trailers they're going to be towing are safe. And all of the large transportation companies are, looking at this. And driver shortages are a real problem right now. Recruiting and retention, and you see that from Josh Hart and the R&L guys. That's big everywhere. And I don't want to displace truck drivers either. What I want to do is make sure that, and what we do for retention, just to be clear, that's really important is. One thing that frustrates drivers, if they're not turning, they're not earning. So when they go to pick up a trailer, if it has an issue, then they get really frustrated. And if the other company doesn't have the issues, that may make them move. Or that oftentimes they get so frustrated because they're promised they can make so much money, but they have so many equipment issues, they're not making the money. So our piece is to help drivers with continuing to be in good equipment, and then. Autonomy, it's not going anywhere. The first piece of it really is going to be kind of smart. The yard tractors that move all these tractors around, using autonomy for that. Phillips is making the air and electrical system, the auto coupling, they auto couple now. So we're very involved with that. So that's kind of the first step, and that's not really taking too many jobs away. But I don't really see. You're just not going to see, especially any hubs or anywhere, where you need that driver, to be there to help guide the the vehicle in. But there'll be a lot of technology on these trucks. Electric trucks are coming. We're putting technology on the trailers to help extend, the range of these trucks to go more than 500 miles, which is really what's needed. So you'll see a lot of neat technology coming, and I just don't know if the true autonomous driverless tractors, when that could happen.
Interesting. Well, listen, technology is what it is. It's coming, and you can't stop it. You can't hold it back. And any civilization that has tried ends up failing. So it's right. Good things, new jobs, new things will come out of it. The people who take care of the autonomous, that's not the issue. I love the fact that we've got a technology company involved in drag racing, and you're out there keeping people and their loads safe, and maybe even making their work situation more positive where they can earn more money. And keeping Justin Ashley on the track is my number one thing. I appreciate it.
Me too.
This has been great. I loved seeing you and Erica and hearing that little bit of history. But it all worked out for the good, I think. And I'm most excited about seeing you out there this weekend, or next weekend, excuse me. It's Memorial Day weekend here in town. The next race we go to will be Epping Old School Track. Jim, have you been there? Have you?
Yeah, I've raced there. I've match raced there many years ago with Jerry Tolliver. I'll never forget, one of the runs at night, you couldn't see the half track because of the fog, and it was my craziest run ever because the throttle stuck, past the half track or past the finish line. And that was a scary moment, but I got her stopped, and but that was one of my memories, from Epping. So.
Home of Segrini, right? Those guys up there. Yeah. Absolutely love it. Well, I'm excited. We're all going to have lobster. We're going to be lobstered out by the time we get to the weekend. But thank you for educating us about Phillips Connect, your role, the team, and hopefully this is just your first appearance on WFO. And if it's okay, I'm going to try to publicize the heck out of your 300 to the 8th mile club concept. It's something that everybody needs to share and get out there and start talking about. And let's make it happen. I would love that.
Yeah, Amber White's been she's a fan of it as well, and she's floated this, so I think she could use the additional support from our fans. So I appreciate that, and I appreciate the opportunity to get that out there.
Absolutely. No, it's out there now. It's in the ether. People are going to be discussing it. They're going to be battling. It's going to be water cooler conversations, except this is not very controversial. I think everybody just thinks about it and says, yes, that is a brilliant.
I just don't see a downside, at the end of the day. I get that, I get trying to slow them down to 1,000 feet, but shoot, make them run hard to 660, right?
Doesn't even matter. They're going to do what they're going to do. They're always going to run as hard as they can, no matter what. That's what they do. Go ask, Mike Green and Tommy Delago if they're slowing anything down. You can't stop them. That's why we love them, because you can't stop them. All right, Jim, thank you so much. I really appreciate you coming on the show today.
Okay. Appreciate you having me.
Take care. Thanks for fighting through the issues. Who knows? This was really good, though. Thank you.
Thank you.
There he goes, Jim Epler, Mr. 300, with us here on WFO Radio, Phillips-Connect.com. For those of you that are interested or in that business, go to the website and check out all the different sensors that they've designed. And I love knowing that Jim, he's the guy developing them, working with a team to develop what is needed by these people with fleets of trucks and tractors. And I love the idea of them being safer out there over the road. I have had many an experience towing, and you want to know, you need the data. We need more data. And my analogies to Formula One, I'm sorry, you have to offer many of these companies a way to showcase their talent and ability. And that's why all the cloud computing companies are over there. Antivirus software, there's a lot of computers going on over there. Well, we've got computers too. Maybe if we gather more data off the cars and have to move it around and push it around, those companies would want to showcase that. And that's the thing about sponsorship. There's more than just, hey, you've got 20,000 people in one spot. Let's show them a logo. There's more to it than that. And that's what everyone is learning. The business-to-business relationships with everybody else that's there, the personal connection. That's why advertising on WFO works so well, honestly, is because it's not just a logo. It's a personal connection. I'm a person. I'm telling you. You can choose to believe me or not believe me. You can choose to dig deeper You don't just see a quick flash over there on the right-hand side of Facebook, like logo, artwork. No, man, it's more of a personal deal. And that's what drag racing sponsorship is. And I know I'm on a tangent, but honestly, I really believe that the social media advertising has kind of hurt drag racing sponsorship because people always want to take the easy way out. You know, I'm going to type in a keyword, automobile enthusiast, DIY oil change, and advertise to those people, which, you know, maybe you're going to get them and maybe you're not. Maybe they're going to ignore what you've just posted. But when you come out to the drag races, you know you're connecting with DIY automotive people. That's where they all are. And they love it and they appreciate you for being there. And suddenly, you know, 40 years later, you're going to look for a rug cleaner and you're getting the rug doctor because of something that happened in 1993. That's what happens with drag racing. And I think we need to, you know, beat our chests on that a little bit more. I talked about earlier in the week, Keith, one of my Patreons, sent me these great posters and we thought about it for a moment. Like, posters, like, you don't see posters anymore. No, you don't see posters anymore. Why not? Why not? It was a very effective form of advertising. Well, everybody goes digital and, you know, everybody's got everything on the phone, except for people still see posters. They still see billboards. They still see all that stuff, but they collect the posters and they take them home and they showcase them. They show them off to their friends and their family, and it becomes part of their life, a great coveted moment. And all of a sudden the grandchild sees the poster and, what's that, Grandpa? Papa, what's that? That's drag racing. Little one, I will take you someday. If everything is on the digital device and here today and gone the next day, we don't have that. Just things to think about. That's the new segment I just created. Things to think about with WFO Joe. All right, I'm going to shout out to my sponsors. I want comments in the comment section. I see there's 2 up there. Oh, look, Phillips Connect. Thank you. No, thank you guys. I appreciate you supporting Justin in the sport of NHRA drag racing. Art is out there. Joe, they should call you Mr. Positive. They called Jim Epler Mr. 300. You have good influence on people. So thank you and have a good Memorial Day. Thank you, Art, for the positivity back. I certainly could need it. I'm faking it a little bit today. Now, I love drag racing, obviously, and most importantly, the people that I get to hang out, like Erica, right? And of course, I got to hit Erica with the Camry stuff right away. And it's the story. It's what happened. That was the talk of that race. Everybody at all times behind the scenes. Would they go side by side? Would they meet in eliminations? Oh my gosh, they're in the final round. Who's going to win the final round? And Erica wins the final round. And now we move on. The first battle, right? The first meeting of those two. And what will happen in the future, you know, who knows? And really, they're just racers. But this is the kind of stuff that people are interested in. And we got to keep going. I'm very positive about it. Very excitable about drag. In fact, this is healing for me because in the background, you know, the news was bad yesterday. And I need something to draw my attention away. And this is it. And you are all it. And thank you for doing it. Thank you for giving me this platform. Phillips Connect, Jim Epler. Great guy, obviously. And if you're in the field, go to the website, phillips-connect.com. Total Seal Piston Rings, the leader in ring seal technology, totalseal.com. New episodes of Hidden Horsepower. But really, honestly, we had an episode yesterday that has yet to post. But also in technology, there's this big thought that, you know, electric is going to kill combustion. And it's not. Electric is not going to kill combustion. Combustion is going to continue. What are we combusting? That is a good question. What are we combusting for? Is a good question. Piston ring is going to be around a long time, and they're building amazing efficiency into engines. What is your ring package? You should definitely think about updating it. TotalSeal.com. And I found out we're going to have some more trackside tech talks. Apparently, they have been working. VP Racing Fuel. Speaking of combustion and things you combust, we had Freddie Turza on yesterday. It was very informative, educational. You can probably tell this week I'm connecting with some of our sponsors. We plan to talk to FTI Performance Transmissions in the near future as well. But hearing how it started, bringing up the conversation about World War II and the race, the technology race that it was in fuel development, thinking about that Like, why were our planes able to fly higher and better and faster in certain areas? Well, we had better fuel. We were making better gasoline with a more consistent octane. And imagine you're a fighter pilot in a battle, right? That is more intense than being a drag racer on the drag strip. But that mentality is where VP Racing Fuels came from. And it was developed and developed and developed to where it is today. And now it is very specific fuel for your application with the flagship C12 being the most popular. But go to their website, sign up, and find out more. And the idea that they've also delved into lubricants, and now they are helping with the Titan Racing Engines program. It's a very good interview with Freddie. You should go check it out. VPRacingFuels.com. And then FTIPerformance.com. Transmissions, torque converters. Similar deal. In each of these cases, somebody builds a better mousetrap, designs it, and takes over the world like FTI has done in performance racing transmissions. And it was, a story that we've witnessed in the last 15 years, from not around to dominating to winning everything to becoming an industry leader and getting bought out by Paul Lee. It's really amazing. Greg Samuel, the guy who really started it all. Troy Williams Jr. out there at the tracks showcasing the product. He and his brother winning the $1 million race. Troy going on winning the U.S. Nationals. What makes you a success in bracket racing and in .90 racing and big money racing? Consistency and reliability. Those are the two things. Consistency and reliability. You've got to have that. Consistency and reliability. If you don't have that, you've got nothing. And that's what FTI Performance delivers. And this is also true if you've got a slower car, right? You don't have to have a Super Comp dragster. You could have a 10-inch tire, big money bracket car. You want what they've got. Appreciate everybody for supporting WFO Radio. Marvin Rodak, Rodak'sCoffeeandGrills.com, the coffee and hot sauce and spice rub. 817-924-6821. Call Marvin. Frank Hawley's Drag Racing School, the Dragster Adventure. FrankHawley.com. Get them on the phone. Hit the website. It makes a great gift. And Sam Tech, the next generation of students coming up who are going to work on all this stuff. They're going to be the ones who work on it. And then there's our Patreons. Every once in a while, someone in the chat section will be like, Patreons to the front. And it is true. This is our VIP listener club. These are the most devoted WFO fans. They pay. Costs money. They choose what they pay. There are different tiers and levels, but everybody gets to know that they're supporting our show. And we need a lot of support. We do. We need support. Castello, good at doing shows, bad at everything else. No, I wouldn't say that. But thank you, Patreons, for being so involved in our show. And you can find it right on the website, WFOradio.com or patreon.com/WFO Radio. They take care of a lot of stuff behind the scenes. All right, let's see what kind of comments are in the comment section before we get out of here. Blake, when are the Trackside Tech Talks going to be? We have one in Seattle. We have one in Indy. And then the final one is to be determined. But I think I have a good idea where it's going to be. But Seattle and Indy, Trackside Tech Talks. And from what I have heard, the couple Trackside Tech Talks we've done at the track, we get like 20, 25 people, sportsman racers, Lucas Oil racers, but some big celebrities have been there and learned and applied, and it worked. That's all I'm going to say. That's all I can say. But think about that. You go to the Trackside Tech Talk, you hear something, you go back to the shop, you apply it, and it works. Pretty amazing. Jeff, a good one today, Joe. Positivity and data is all we need. We definitely need data and positivity. Mr. Positive Joe. I don't like that nickname, though, guys. People hate the positive guy. You don't know that? Yeah, they do. They hate that guy. There's a hatred for the positive guy. We can do it, guys. You got to sizzle some negativity in there every once in a while. You season it with negativity. There's a market for negativity, people. There's a big market. I learned that a couple weeks ago. That's going to be the name of my book. I'm going to be writing a book, A Market for Negativity by Joe Castello. I'm going to use that name for something. What time are you going to be on tomorrow? Good question, Blake. Tomorrow is going to be even different. 11 a.m. We're pushing this thing back from 1 yesterday to noon today to 11 a.m. tomorrow. Why? Well, to accommodate a couple of people that are going to come on and talk about Dave McClelland. And it's going to be really interesting because everybody that is involved is a friend of mine. And I want to talk about Big Mac a little bit more because the guy is an icon and everybody is, paying tribute. Oh, that one's too fuzzy. Everyone is paying tribute. And how can we pay tribute? And what can we do to pay tribute? In what way? And to me, as a broadcast guy, starting out in radio, listening to those Be There CD, Steve Evans, and just being a super fan of the early broadcasters of our sport. And I'm not the only one. You guys know that, like Brian Loans and Alan Reinhart, and everybody has got their story about how they got involved in the sport of drag racing and such. And the broadcasters are a big part of it for me. I didn't get into this role by accident. I always wanted to be a talk radio guy. Howard Stern would be a good example, but he wasn't really the guy that I looked up to. A guy named Neil Rogers in my hometown, a guy named Phil Hendry, who still does voiceover on Rick and Morty and such. The Ron and Ron Radio Network, fun stuff, cast of characters, all that. And Stern. We just didn't have Stern in South Florida. But, doing 2, 3, 4 hours a day, dealing with callers, fighting with callers, battling it out. Like, man, that was good stuff. But I was a drag racer and always loved their delivery, studio guys. It's just a different kind of thing. But over the years, I've kind of gotten together. I did that Masters TV show, Performance TV, and I worked with this gentleman, Tom Gee, who is a great guy. He was there with Steve Evans and Big Mac through the 90s. John Mullen was there originally, and Tom comes in with Evans and Mac and is part of the deal for over a decade. There's some great stories there. There's no doubt some great stories there. And we've got to talk about those. Where's my other great photograph? This guy. Oh, too many photos. They don't want me to show George, but it's okay. I'm going to continue fighting. Like whatever happens, you just got to keep fighting and eventually you'll win out. It's just every once in a while, I got to move my camera to see what I want to see. This guy, people don't realize the Diamond P Sports days. This guy, George Castello, he's in the truck right now. There are people from Diamond P Sports days that still work there now. They've got all the stories and they saw everything and they were there for it all. Evans and Mac and crazy events. And when Reinhart was a little kid, they were there for it all. And they're coming on the show, Tom and George, tomorrow. And maybe, and I can't promise, but maybe Cameron Evans is coming on as well. Steve's son, who obviously they're all family. They were all family with Big Mac. And we're going to have that conversation. And I'm just going to kind of get out of the way and hear some stories and ask about professionalism and ability and talent and whatever I can come up with. And people maybe will post or maybe remember a thing that happened and just kind of celebrate the life of Dave McClelland and what he did for all of us, drag racing, and by being a talented person. Imagine if the random guy that they decided to be the guy with, hello, NHRA Drag Race, it might not have turned out the way it did. Winston might have not. You're only as good as your broadcasters. I say it all the time. And maybe that means maybe that's a good thing for me, or maybe it's a bad thing for me, where I fall in the pecking order of broadcaster life. I know there are people with a lot better pipes, but we're in a different world now. What worked back then doesn't necessarily work today. People want genuine and real. Not that those guys weren't, but it's just a different broadcast universe today. But you're only as good as your broadcasters. You got great broadcasters, you got a great sport. They'll make it great. You got bad broadcasters, it can be really good. And people might not perceive it. Gravitas, the Big Mac voice, the gravitas. See, I feel like Brian has got gravitas. Brian has gravitas. It's important. You talk to people who work behind the scenes in broadcast. Gravitas. What is it? You don't know. You can't describe it. What is it? Gravitas. You got to have it. The person flipping the channels. What is this? What is this? What is this? What is this? This stinks. Garbage. Don't want it. Boring. Seen it again. Weird long cars with bubbles that come out the back. What is this guy? And you have a few seconds. Are they going to capture that person? You have to have it. So we're going to talk about it. Big Mac had it. Evans had it. Those guys had it. And that'll be our Thursday show, final show of the week. All right. Final comments. See what you guys have. Not very talkative today. I get it. Believe me, I get it. Carlos, cheers from Alaska. Thank you, Carlos. Thanks for weighing in. Appreciate you guys up there. I would love to see Alaska. I doubt it's going to happen, though. Too far. Hawaii, too. Would love to see Hawaii. Yeah. If I'm going on a far trip, I'm going the other direction. Way to switch it up, Joe. I don't know what that means. Thank you, Joe. That'll be an awesome show. I think so. Or maybe it won't. Maybe they don't have great stories, but I think they probably do. I think they probably do. Who's got the stories? The guys that work behind the camera. And in this situation, there's nobody behind the camera. I'm the guy behind the camera. I'm doing everything. But any broadcast, any show, any event, anything you see or you go to, for the few people you see, there are tens or hundreds behind the scenes working their tails off to make it happen. And not only will you never know their names, but they probably don't want you to know their names. They're going to work and they're creating art. That's what it is. It's their art. They're creating it. They're making it happen. They want it to be perfect. They hold themselves to an extremely high standard. And when the show's over, they go home. Not everybody wants to be in front of the camera. And those are the guys. The level of professionalism, storytelling. I've learned a lot, certainly. All right, guys, this is it. Thank you so much. Now I'm going to go back to my challenges of life. No, I bought a vehicle, and there's errors on the title. Errors on the title. This thing was a rebuild title. No, it wasn't. I know the guy who bought it brand new. He's a good friend. He bought it brand new. I've known the truck the whole time. Oh, there's a problem with the title. It's a rebuild title. It's not. And so that is what I'm going to be tackling in and around all the other stuff that we got going on here. Yeah, exactly. Got the engine on the engine stand. I'm excited about that. We're going to post the hidden horsepower. It's going to be great. And then 11 a.m. tomorrow morning. Don't forget to download the mobile app, guys. That's the best way to find out everything. The mobile app. First of all, it's so much better now. They've improved it a lot. Right? There's the app. The video section. And look, you just hit the top one. And let's see what's going to happen. There we are. Today's show. And there we are. In the mobile app right now. How crazy is that? Now, you can't comment. Derek's like, well, if I can't comment, just subscribe on YouTube. But make sure to enable push notifications, guys, so I can communicate with you. Sending out pushes. They say to be successful, you have to surround yourself with successful people, and you are a good example of that. I'm sorry, I don't like negativity. That's why I listen to your show. You know what, Art? I don't like negativity either. Got that from my dad. Yes to the 8th Mile 300 Club. Sounds great. Thank you, Tony. Awesome. Thanks to Jim Epler for coming on the show. Thanks to Amber for setting it up. Thanks to Erica for fighting through some internet issues. That was great. And Courtney, of course. And we'll see you tomorrow, 11 a.m. or in the future. Hit the archive, WFO.